Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 worst types of AoE2 players. Yes, today I'm going to be calling out some of the most degenerate behavior out there in the AoE2 community. And let's be honest, we have a more or less wholesome community, but there's always some bad apples in the bunch. And listen, if you see yourself being described perfectly by one of these 5 things, then listen, no judging, but let's go ahead and fix up that behavior, because it's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay to live with those mistakes for the rest of our lives. Let's correct and move on. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at number 5, and let's see if you guys agree with my list on this one, as it's pretty subjective, but I've got some really good ones. Starting off at number 5, we've got the Balance Andy. This type of player will always complain about the balance of the game. And yes, we all talk about civ balance and unit balance and whatnot at some point, but these Balance Andys are always blaming one thing or another. They take zero accountability for their own mistakes. They almost always brush up their losses as their opponent had the better civ and that they weren't outplayed, but this stupid Frank Knight is absolutely broken, or this guy just absolutely spamming Inca pikemen, or whatever else in the world there is. It's always something to do with the balance, and it's never the fact that they've got 100 idle villagers, 1 billion res in the bank not being spent. No, it's the fact that the balance is off and the game is broken. Listen, the Balance Andy can always be an annoying kind of guy to deal with, because they will always let you know that the only reason you won is because of the balance of the game. And if that wasn't enough, they will go ahead and make 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 Reddit posts complaining about Franks being broken and why they can't climb out of 600 elo because the Frank Knights are just simply too strong. Listen, I love the Reddit community and I love the AoE2 community, but the Balance Andys can sometimes get on our nerves. And one last thing to mention, sometimes it's the balance and other times it's the pathing. Those words go hand in hand, and in fact, it could be the Balance Andy, and honestly, I could have named this the Pathing Andy, because yeah, the pathing gets complained about pretty often as well. But regardless if it's the balance or the pathing, these players never make any mistakes. They are always simply an unfortunate victim to an unbalanced game. We all feel so bad for these people. Moving on to number 4, we have the Cheeser. Now, the Cheeser honestly comes in all shapes and sizes. There's really no guessing what the next kind of cheese, what the next kind of cheddar is going to be, because it could be the early game laming with stealing sheep, boar, deer, whatever it may be, before you even have a chance to develop your own economy and to start the game. But if it's not any Dark Age laming, it could also be some kind of all-in feudal age rush, either a 10 villager tower rush, him trying to wall you in somehow, or just sending 10 villagers forward and hitting your villagers before you even have a chance to play the game. The Cheeser has all kinds of tricks, and hey, if you make it past the feudal age, he might hit you with some all-in castle age rush, like for example the Phosphorus strategy, where you rush with 22 villagers to castle age as fast as possible, drop a castle and bring out some overpowered unique units that even the Balance Andy can say is overpowered, but the Cheeser will use that to his advantage, send that overpowered unique unit to your base and kill all your villagers while you're still stuck farming in the feudal age with a few scouts and skirmishers doing absolutely nothing to the powerful unique unit that's currently destroying your entire economy. And of course, if they're not going for the Phosphorus rush, there are all kinds of other rushes they can go for. One of the most notorious ones being the Huang rush, but all of these rushes have one goal in mind. They want to prevent you from playing the game as fast as possible, and they have no intention of playing the game quote-unquote properly themselves. They are not developing their economy, they are not getting eco upgrades, they are not trying to get to the next stage, they're not trying to get the Imperial Age, none of that. They just want to rush you as fast as possible and make the game as painful as possible for you. And well, no matter what, the game is ending in 15 minutes with these kind of guys. And listen, 1 or 2 Cheesers, you know, we all like a little dairy, but if you gotta face these guys over and over on the ladder, it can definitely get annoying, so they earn their spot at number 4. Moving on to number 3, this is something I absolutely have no tolerance for. We've got the Flamer. Now, listen, I definitely have said a few things in the past that I regret to this day, and flaming is something that I think even all of us at some point or another, be it IRL or over the internet, behind our keyboards, have probably said one thing or maybe multiple things that are just simply distasteful. But in my opinion, what makes the Flamer is that they do it every single game. They are just being toxic for no reason, typing things that they shouldn't be typing, calling you all kinds of names, and it seems like they just get away with it. I mean, you could try to file, you know, a report, maybe they'll get banned, but yeah, they'll probably just make another account and rinse and repeat the next day. And what makes the flamers so bad is that they usually don't see anything wrong in their behavior and they never even work on fixing it. As I said earlier, if you have a problem in your behavior but you work on fixing it, I think we can all agree that that's a decent step forward and we can probably forgive the past. But if you continue making the same mistakes and saying the same things, always toxic, always flaming, then there is absolutely no justification and you definitely earn the number 3 spot on the list. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that words on the internet are just words on the internet, if you don't give them attention, they don't really harm you in any way, I would have this higher up on the list. But the next 2 things, unfortunately, you actually cannot counterplay. They will be wasting your time. And so let's hop in to number 2. At number 2, we've got a guy that does not value his own time at all. It's the wall in my last villager guy. Yeah, maybe we've all been that guy once or twice in our life, but imagine a guy that does this every single game. They will play and play and play, and unlike the cheeser, they don't want to end the game in 15 minutes. They want to end the game in 3 to 5 hours, and not in some well drawn out epic tale of an AoE2 battle that lasted 5 or 6 hours on arena or anything like that. You know, this is a game that lasts several hours without being any fun at all. The guy has clearly lost the game, but because he's so salty and can't admit defeat, he goes ahead and stonewalls 20 layers in a corner to hide his last 1 or 2 villagers. Or he'll go ahead and sit 10 bomber cannons in the center of the Oasis Lake, making it completely impossible for you to end the game and stalls it out for hours. This is such an annoying playstyle, whether it's the one where you're stalling for time or the other one where you can't die and you're just sitting in the center of Oasis with cannon galleons. Hours and hours are being wasted and nothing is getting done. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the spirit of Age of Empires, and this is definitely deserving of the worst type of AoE2 players. Number 2 on the list, but I got one thing just a little bit better. Before I show you guys number 1 though, maybe you guys can guess it, maybe not. It's a pretty good one though. I'm going to show you guys an honorable mention, and it's going to have to do with the team games. It's the Mino type guy. The Mino type guy is a guy that doesn't type or ping at all for the entire game until he starts dying. So all game, you're trying to talk some strategy. You're thinking, okay, we're about to hop into an epic team game. Listen, what are you going for? I'll be doing scouts from pocket. I'm so excited. I'm going to have a good game. Let's win together. You're just so pumped. And the guy says nothing. No communication, no response, no enthusiasm until he gets raided by the first army that comes his way. And then he starts spam pinging you and wondering where everything went wrong. Yes, it went wrong when you didn't type or communicate at all. You deserve all of the punishment that will come your way in game. Listen guys, I'm not saying let's type all game. Of course, Age of Empires requires a lot of focus, but just a few words or a couple sentences or even just acknowledging your teammates will go a long way in those team games. All right, moving on to number 1. It's also something that's pretty specific to team games, but it has to be talked about. This is by far the worst type of AoE2 player out there, and I am quite frankly sick of them. And honestly, there are a lot more of these than you would think, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this at this point, but at number 1, we've got the Rage Quitter. I am just so sick of those Rage Quitters that the first thing that goes wrong, or if you just look at them the wrong way or say the wrong thing, they're gonna just quit the game. And that's just a complete, just utter disrespect to everybody else in that team game. They're wasting the time of the opponents because, you know, they want to play a clean game, you know, one last game before bed, and then the guy rage quits and wastes your time. They're wasting the time and the elo of their teammates by, you know, of course, leaving the game. It's pretty much impossible to win if you're down a player. And so the rage quitter successfully ruins the entire experience for everyone around them. And once again, it just feels like there's no punishment for the rage quitter. You could try to report them, and again, they'll just make a new account and start over again. And you can't even talk some sense into them because they can just rage quit and leave, and you'll pretty much never see them again. If they wanted to, they can get away with that. And so rage quitting is definitely a very serious problem, and definitely deserves the number 1 spot on the list. Might even be just the worst type of gaming player in general, but specifically AoE2, this is the worst type of AoE2 player out there. And honestly, on a real note, jokes aside here, this is actually the number 1 reason why team game ladder is almost unplayable unless you have friends or like a, you know, a group that you can play with, because this happens way too often. Let's be better, guys. No more rage quitting. If you're salty, just be the balance Andy. If you're salty, be the balance Andy. Just blame Frank Knights or something. Blame Frank Castles. Just blame Franks. Everyone does it anyways. Be the balance Andy. Don't be the rage quitter. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun making this one, honestly. If you guys want to see a next one like this, I might do the top 5 best type of AoE2 players, so we can end on a little bit of a positive spin. But of course, let's start with the bad. Let's get the bad out of the way, and then we'll bring in the good. If you guys want to see it, like, comment, subscribe, and and I'll be sure to make that one. If you guys want more content, check out my Patreon for extensive guides and exclusive content, and check out my Twitch live stream for those live streams. Links in the description below. Peace.